All right, what's going on? Tom here, back with another episode of the Commission Breath podcast. I'm going to be flying solo today, and I have a message for you, the listener, that I hope I can help at least one of you out there. In my experience this year, I was wearing too many hats. I was trying to start two different podcasts, two different YouTube channels, run a brokerage, build lender relationships for the brokerage. I was trying to build my book of business with referral partners, social media. Like there were so many different hats that I was wearing that eventually Brandon and I, we sat down and we're like, hey, we need to cut some things out in our life because we're getting slowed down by all of the different things we're taking on. And fuck, we are glad we did that because not only has our personal book of business started to grow from there, our brokerage did as well. And our headspace has been cleared out from all of the different tasks and the different point of views we had to take on during the day. And one of the biggest things we decluttered and took out was our other podcast on the consumer side of things. So we had our podcast, the Canadian Mortgage Guide, Invested Entrepreneur. We had a YouTube channel for each of them. We were trying to post stuff on social media in addition to the long form content. So we were chopping up some short form videos. Nikki was doing the majority of them, but we were trying to pump out some additional ones that were separate from the long form content. Like there were so many different hats we were wearing that eventually we got burnt out and we were just spinning our wheels, not really getting traction with anything. So that was the major thing and change that we did this year. And I hope with this episode, I'm going to dive into more of what I use now as a lens looking for opportunities and ways to hone in on my businesses. And I hope that going through this episode, it helps you, the listener, in being able to decide what to focus your energy on. Because as mortgage brokers, there's so many different hats that you wear, whether it's lead gen, client journey, underwriting, lender relationships. It can often be overwhelming and you only have so much time during the day. So now when I look at what I'm spending my time on, I'm trying to make sure that it's something that makes my business 1% better. So I'll give you a quick example, and this is no knock to social media. It's funny because if you're a new listener and you've kind of been binging our episodes, you'll kind of see like maybe we have some sort of personality disorder. Earlier in the year, we're so big on social media, and now we're kind of like poo pooing the idea. But I really don't want you to think that. I actually do think social media can be a big part of your business. But the way I look at social media now is totally different. And going back to the example I was about to dive into, when I look at social media, I split it into two different camps. There's long form content and there's short form content. I've tried both and we are still sticking to the long form content for our brokerage. When it comes to our mortgage book, we had to actually abandon both of them from a time perspective. But if I had more time in my day and I was just focusing on my mortgage book, I would absolutely be diving into long form content. So, podcasting and YouTube specifically, long form YouTube videos, not YouTube shorts, but long form YouTube videos. And the reason why I say that is because going back to me mentioning what makes my business 1% better, I know long form content is going to be there forever. Really, it's evergreen. The YouTube algorithm is amazing. If your video performs well, it can often be performing for years. Like if I go back to my first YouTube channel that I did on my own before merging with Brandon, I still have videos that still get views on it. It's insane. And I recorded those videos about 3 or 4 years ago. So if I were to go into social media, again, long form content all the way, I would probably record a video podcast. And whether or not you wanted to add that extra layer of chopping the video up into short form content and having that posted, you can do that. You can pay someone to do that, which doesn't require your time at all. Like Nikki does that for us for commission breath. And we don't spend any time on the short form content, which is nice. Just costs more money and maybe some more headspace if you ever wanted to tweak the videos and review them, give some input for the person doing them, then yeah, it's going to cost some more headspace there. So I would just start simple. If you were to dive in on social media, I would 100% go into long form. I would even just start out with an audio version only podcast and use that as resources for any client going through your client journey, any leads that come into your orbit. What I used to do was I would hyperlink videos as assets to the clients coming in. So let's say I had a first time home buyer get introduced to me by a realtor, what I would do is on that intro email, I would have hyperlinked videos for ones that I know are specific to first time home buyers. Like, how much do you actually have to put down for a home? What is mortgage insurance? Like the typical info that a first time home buyer would need. I had YouTube videos for that and I would hyperlink in the email. And it was this resource I could always look back to and use for my business. So that's the lens I would take on. And this is no knock to social media. I know some of you out there are crushing it on, say, Instagram or TikTok. That's besides the case. I do think you are a rare specimen in the mortgage industry if you are crushing it on social when it comes to short form content. But I can count more mortgage brokers that are definitely building their business off of YouTube and podcasting versus the other way around on short form content. And I'll argue that all day. I know there's some examples out there of people doing it, but again, I know that YouTube would most likely pump out more leads for you than, say, Instagram or TikTok. But that's my personal take on it. I know some of you may argue that, seeing as how social media is this big hot topic these days in the mortgage industry, which is cool, fine and dandy. Anyways, that's what I would do with my business. And another part to this too is even if we take social media out completely, what I would do is look back, and we've talked about this before, look back in your business and see where the leads have come in from. For me, it was always referral partners, and the odd one came in from social media. And it's funny because once we stopped doing YouTube for our consumer facing side of things for our own personal mortgage book, we started getting more leads in from our YouTube and podcast, which was super cool because they were actually very sticky. Believe it or not, they were almost stickier than realtor referrals, but it took a while to get there. And I know if we continue that, it would get better and better. But back to referral partners, like I would just double down on that, have some sort of existence on social media so clients know you're there, you are a person. I would have that as kind of my business card per se. And I would double down on referral partners. And then once you kind of get tapped with that and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't really want to add more referral partners because it's becoming overwhelming with adding another realtor or financial advisor. Cool. Then maybe you can go the direct to consumer route and build it that way. But the way I look at that is if I can add one more referral partner, you're leveraging their relationships more often than not. If that's a good referral partner, you're going to get more leads in from that one person versus pumping out two, three more videos on social media, short form content specifically. So, another asset that you can build in your business that doesn't necessarily disappear overnight is email marketing. So, yes, the email you send out to your database is oftentimes gone. You send it and it's done. But what you can build that is everlasting and evergreen is the list that you build for your email list. People are going to unsubscribe, but if you keep building that list, it will grow over time. And that is a huge asset that you can have and often overlooked. And I don't know why. I think mortgage brokers feel bad about emailing people. There's a certain cadence that some people are comfortable with. But I think if you focus on building the list, you provide value in the emails you send out, it's not just junk or just newsletter stuff that nobody cares about, then you're going to be much better off. And you can even build other things like a drip campaign in your client journey or a drip campaign with a lead magnet. These are things that you can use over and over, and you're making your business 1% better. So, to summarize this video in this episode, I hope it's helped you determine what's important in your business and to not try to be a master of everything, because at the end of the day, you will be a master of none if you try to take on too much. So pick and choose what you think is going to be a valuable asset to your business, make it 1% better, go deep on that, and swat out every other shiny object that comes into your world.